Mehmeti Magic finishes off our perfect week. Welcome back to Where the Town Walk with myself, Luke, and today we've got Ian and Rich talking all things Ipswich, including this week's Tweet of the Week and the A to Z. Ian, a very, very positive week.
It was it was great to be back at Portman Road after a month on the road, and after what was a couple of disappointing results in Wales. It was great to face a Welsh team and do the double over them. So and in a really professional manner as well. So I think everyone went home on a high. It's a fairly decent gate. Swansea didn't bring the biggest number of fans with them, but I think the optimism and is back with the fans, and I can see that Tuesday night's going to be a really good atmosphere again, and take that into next Saturday as well. It could be the perfect 7 days of 9 points as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the one thing that everybody, especially on this podcast and fans in the comment section, etc., wanted to see from the defeat against Wrexham was a shift in mentality, an effort, a real passion to try and work for the badge. And I think we saw that against Watford and Swansea. I think we really did, Rich. I think it was good to see the boys working hard and working together as a unit, because it was a very professional job against Swansea.
It's funny, isn't it? I think we said last Sunday, if we sit here next week and we've got 6 points on the board, everything looks a whole lot different. It's funny, isn't it, Luke, how football goes like that. Last week, everyone was losing their heads after we lose to Wrexham, tweeting everything. We're one of the worst teams, this, that, and the other. And then, look, Tuesday night at Watford, I thought it was a very good away performance. And then yesterday, and I said to you before we came on, I think Swansea were the ideal team for me to play, Luke, yesterday, because I thought they played football. Didn't have a lot of threat. I was a little bit surprised that Vipotnik wasn't sort of starting. He's their main man, and they had no goal threat, did they? They had quite a lot of the ball, if you look at the stats, but never really threatened. There was a couple of, I think, saves that Walton's had to make, but it was really comfortable. But I think it'll be a lot harder on Tuesday.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it was the perfect game for us to play. They look after the ball well, Swansea. They just didn't have much goal threat, especially not starting the big number 9, who hit a beautiful free kick near the end. Who I think the crossbar's still shaking. So yeah, he's definitely got a shot on him, that lad. But yeah, it was much better week. I think everybody's wanting to see something and wanting to see something that we could buy into. Like we said, it's obviously we all really want to get promoted, but it's also the way we play and the performances. And I think now we've seen in them 2 games, we see something that we can buy into. And I think the important thing from both games, but especially the Swansea game, Ian, was the fast start, and we had a corner in the 7th second, and then Magic Mehmeti that we'll get onto scores within a couple of minutes with a great finish.
Yeah, I think it was really good tactical analysis from Kieran, because a couple of eyes were raised when we saw that Clark was on the bench and Mmeti was out on the left. And we're thinking, Clark's not really done anything wrong. So it can only be a case of resting the squad in anticipation of a difficult fixture against Hull on Tuesday. I also think that McKenna was very right, because if you go back and look through the Swansea forums, I think they're unanimous in their verdict that Galbraith isn't a right back. And it seemed that we were channeling absolutely everything down that left-hand side. And it was interesting when you hear McKenna say he actually played Mmeti as a second number 10, which allowed Davis to use that left wing that we're so used to seeing over the last 2 years. And and I think I mentioned in our own little chat group earlier on today that, the way we play with Jayden and Clark is great. We get goals, but it is at the compromise of Davis's assists. So it's good to see Davis get another assist. It was great to see Mmeti kind of work in that corner with Leif Davis quite well. And it proved to give us, 2 goals from that side, which was great. And it just gives us that flexibility now that we can change the systems. It's very, very subtly, but it allows us to kind of maybe break down these teams who might have something to offer.
Definitely. It was like seeing the Ipswich of 23-24 season, wasn't it? We haven't really... Obviously, with Broadhead went at the start of the season, so we haven't really had that option. Obviously, Schmodix, what happened there? Akpom possibly can play like that second 10, but Mehmeti done it beautifully. And I think for someone who hasn't started on that side with Davis, they look good together, didn't they, Rich? I think there was a real good understanding between the two. Mehmeti comes across a very, not only technically a good player, but a very smart player. Let's get into him. I want to talk Mehmeti. He's had such an impact since he's arrived at the club. Have you been impressed with him?
Yeah, look, I think if you're a Bristol City fan, you're probably going to be pretty frustrated. I'd say that you've only got 3 million for him, but that was how it worked out of his contract, didn't it, Luke? Because he was out of contract in the end of the season, and I suppose they had to take that money then, or they're going to lose him for nothing. Well, see, what I like about him is his work rate, because he might lose the ball, but he's literally trying to get it back within seconds, and you see that with the third goal that he sets up for George Hurst. I think he's a really good player. He's a clever player. Great finish. I mean, it's not as easy as it looks, because the ball's just bouncing up as he hits that. The only little criticism I've got of him is and I listened to his interview on Radio Suffolk, and he said he's quite self-critical. There was some things he could improve in his game. A couple of times, he's in a really good position, and he should get his head up and pass, and he's tried to beat another man. That's the only criticism. That's been very, very picky. But we are so lucky that we've got him, we've got Nunes in the 10, we've got Jack Clark. We hope we get Philogene back. And it was interesting listening to Mick Mills. He said the 10 position that we've got, Luke, is he doesn't think that Nunes, and I tend to agree with him, Nunes is an excellent 10. I think he's a really, really good player. The only thing that he doesn't do, he doesn't score goals. And Mick Mills reckoned that Mmeti would be a better option in the 10 because he'll score more goals. That's another conversation. But I think at the minute, it's really good that he can play on the left. He can play in the 10. Kieran likes that, doesn't he? He likes them players who can play in a variety of positions. Yeah. But I don't think Mmeti starts on Tuesday. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, he played, correct me if I'm wrong, the full 90, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I can see that being the case. It's just beautiful after the options. I can see what Mick Mills is saying. I think Mmeti is more McKenna's type number 10 in terms of a ball carrier. I think Mmeti plays a bit like Amari did. You know, he gets down, he likes to dribble with the ball, and we used to question Amari sometimes about releasing the ball a little bit quicker and similar to Mmeti. But you're right. What I love about him is he tries the passes that sometimes some people don't see, or tries different things. And if it doesn't work, he's the first one to press. His counter press is brilliant, and in the McKenna team, I think that is so important. So important. There's room for play. I mean, if we do get promoted, I can see Nunes maybe playing a little bit deeper and maybe trying to connect the play there. But we'll see. We'll see. It's good to have options. It's a there's finishers now for the bench, and it's good to have the options. So, what do you think, Ian, is his best position? If you were in McKenna's shoes, where would you be playing Mmeti? Would you be playing him as a left 10, so Davis has got the overlaps, or would you like to see him in that more central 10 role?
I thought that was probably one of his best games in that left-hand 10, but then you've got to think, what do we do with the Jaden Clark scenario? So it's a real 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. And I think that you really got to just build it based on what the opposition look like. What kind of opposition are we playing? Are we playing a team that likes a counter? Are we looking at a team that try to pass it out from the back? If you're passing it out from the back, I'm putting Mmeti in, because like Rich said, he's like a mixture of Connor Chaplin's enthusiasm and passion, blended with the silky skills of Omari Hutchinson. So it's a real difficult one. We just need to have both those options to us. I liked him in that left-hand number 10. I like him playing out on the right as well. But we've got a plethora of talent on the right-hand side with, Wes leading the pack out there as well. So it's, whatever he chooses, it's going to be a disappointed player on the park. And, it's a great problem to have. But, as long as he can keep everybody in the dressing room happy. And I think that he's doing that. Nunes he seems to be the kind of the guy who can keep the momentum and the morale in the dressing room on a real strong high. And I've noticed the difference since he's been back in the squad following his injury. So it may well be that who's going to be playing behind Mmeti is who's key, whether it be Nunes in the middle, or again maybe Dan. Is Neil Dan going to be a better supporting player for Mmeti? Whereas if we have either Kiyuste or Taylor playing in that second pivot, maybe he doesn't get the support that he needs to allow him to kind of show his flair. Because as a flair player, you can creativity. You want to know that you've got someone's got your back. And if someone's going to be sitting too deep, it creates that seam between our attacking midfield and our pivot, which we don't want, because that's where we get ruptured on the counter-attacks against us.
Yeah, definitely. Let's don't get us wrong. See a few people in the chat saying Nunes, guys, Nunes. We love Nunes on this show. So it's not about that at all. I think Nunes is a brilliant player, and like you say, in terms of morale and stuff like that, the connection he's already built with the fans has been brilliant to see. But it's options, as you said, Ian. It's options. You're not going to play the same starting 11. McKenna's definitely not going to play the same starting 11 every single game. But it depends on the opposition. You know, we might want to play with a Nunes who can next play a little bit more, or we might need to play a player like Mehmeti who's a bit more of a ball carrier. It's good. You need these options. You can't have just one way of playing. So I like it. And similar to the left-hand side, sometimes you can play with a Jade and a Jack hugging the touchline, or sometimes you might want to have a second 10. It's beautiful options to have. Definitely. The question is, I mean, as fans, Rich, we always, this season especially, we've had one eye on the Premier League. That's where we want to be next season. Mehmeti, does he have the quality? I know we're obviously only talking. We have seen him in the Championship, but at our club since January. Do you think he has what it takes to cut it in the Premier League?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? Because that's the $1 million question, Luke, about a lot of our team, if I'm being honest. Could they cut it in the Premier League? Look, they deserve a chance, don't they? Because I think when you're a footballer, young lad growing up, I liked how he spoke with Brennan Woolley after the game, Mmeti, like self-critical. He's obviously very driven, and that's where you want to be. That's where you want to play. I think he can, but I still think this team. I think if we get promoted, and we will hope that we do, I think we've got to be really ruthless with it. I think we have to be really ruthless, Luke. And I think last time maybe it was a bit like imposter syndrome. We haven't been there so long. This time, I think if we go up, it'll be totally different. The recruitment will obviously be very important that we get it right, because last time we didn't. But I think when you sign a player like Mehmeti, I mean, if he gets you over the line this season, I think it's job done for him. You've signed him for $3 million. If we didn't go up, look, obviously it's a no-brainer. He's really good in the Championship. But I think, look, he's young, he's hungry, and he deserves that chance once we get there. But I think he can. But there's question marks about all of these players in this team for me if we do go up. Look, we all want to get there, but don't think that, we're just going to go up and these players are going to be the ones that start the first game in August, because you'll probably be looking at a totally different squad. Yeah.
I don't think it'll be as different as we saw the first time we went up, purely because that clearly didn't work. But yeah, you are right. Obviously, it's never going to be the same. I think Mehmeti's got what it takes, and more mentality than skill. He's got the technical ability. There's no question there. But I think to make it at the top level, you need a certain attitude, you need a certain mentality, and I think Mmeti definitely has that. Like you say, he comes across as a nice lad. I was over in the singing section yesterday, and it took him about 5 minutes to come over and do the free fists, pump fists to the north stand. So he's a shy guy.
Practicing that was awful. Christian Wall the other night, he done 4.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Four against Watford. But it's good. It's like I say, it's good to see that sort of mentality in a player. And another player that's come in January, Ian, is Dan Neil. I think he's been a really good player, and I think the partnership with him and Matthew Siwa is starting to sparkle. I think we're seeing a real duo there.
I just think the guy's an amazing talent that we somehow got for nothing, more or less. When I spoke to the guy sat next to the football, I said, "Oh yeah, we've got him on a free, more or less. He's on loan, but he's out of contract." And he went, "You what?" So I mean, he is probably, in my personal opinion, probably our best talent on the pitch right now. I think when it comes to that Premier League class, and he was really unfortunate that because. If Sunderland hadn't gone and recruited a new captain, I have no doubt that he would be an ever-present in the Sunderland team that's done so well in the Premier League this year as well. His vision is top notch. He's quite calm and relaxed on the ball. He can drop his shoulder and turn with the ball without touching it, just like Kayusta can. But he can also drag the ball and he can spread it so effectively as well. And we've seen a real difference when he's playing, that link-up play between the three and the pivot has been absolutely perfect. And there have been questions asked about that. And we haven't been beaten on a counter while he's been playing as well. So for me, Dan Neil has been an absolute steal for us. And I just hope that he's going to enjoy his time to the point that at the end of the loan, he actually says, I'm out of contract. Yeah, I want to be with Ipswich. Yeah, he wants to be in the Premier League. And if something doesn't work out with us and we don't make it into the Premier League, at least he's been in the shop window for other clubs. So for him, it's a win-win. For us, it's hopefully a win-win as well. And we should really look to secure his signature along with potentially Kipre as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. The way he's 6 months left on his contract, coming to us on loan, I think that's set up. I think if we do get promoted, I think we will see Dan Neil in a town shirt in the Premier League. There's some brilliant comments in the chat. I think Mike says Dan Neil always looks like he's got more time on the ball than anyone else, and I think that is the sign of a real top player.
Yeah, I think
when they look like they've got so much time.
I think when we play Middlesbrough next month, it's going to be interesting to see him and Hackney head to head, because I'm actually thinking, he's on par with Hackney, if not better. So that would be a decider for me.
Yeah, that's a shout and a half, that, Ian. It's slightly different players, but yeah, it's interesting to see. We have to talk about. We've been very critical on this show, fair but critical on this show about our number 9s. But to see them both scoring goals is only going to benefit us, isn't it, Rich? To see the confidence flowing in Hurst and Azon. I mean, Azon, he gets better every game. He's definitely tries hard, bless him. But I think it's really good to see both number 9s scoring goals.
Look, it's important that they are scoring, because we were all really critical and we all wanted a number 9 in January. It's confidence, isn't it? A lot of football is a confidence game. And you can see that goal from Azon. I think that was one of them, Luke, where he's had a lot of chances this season, but a lot that he's missed is where he's had time. Now, that one, it's just he's got the ball, he's turned, and he's hit the ball, and he's not really had to think about what he's going to do with it. Great goal, because he's used the defender just to curl it round, and the goalkeeper can't save it. And then, look, George Hurst, great goal the other night. Not bread and butter, bread and belly, that was, off the old belly. And then he had one where he put it in the top of the stand, which wasn't great. But look, yesterday, it's a good run. He's got across the defender at the near post. And 8 goals now, Luke. That's the most he's ever scored in a season. So everyone's been really critical of George. And he's had some harsh comments. But nice to see him scoring. Look, and if we're going to be in the top 2 in that shout, the strikers have got to score. And if I was looking at the goal contributions from like last time we were here, so George Hurst only scored 7. Then Kiefer Moore scored 7. I think Caden Jackson got 2 or 3 then, and Al Hamady got 4. So you think that they're not that far off what we got from the number 9 last time. So yeah, look, Azon, I've been really critical of him. I didn't think he's good enough. He has definitely improved, Luke. He's definitely improved. He's better when he stands on his feet. Drives me up the wall when he's rolling around on the floor. But yeah, look, it's good for us. It's good for the team. They both scored in the same game. First time since we beat Coventry at home 3-0. And long may it continue.
Definitely. I think he's unlucky not to get a second with that header. That was textbook.
Brilliant.
Well.
Yeah, brilliant header. I think going back to Azon quickly, I think he's what I call a 6-yard striker. When there's no time to think about it, he loves that inside of the right foot sort of finish, doesn't he? So yeah, he's definitely better with finishing inside the sort of 6-yard box, inside the penalty box, if you like, as well. So yeah, it's good to see them both scoring. Bread and belly, Rich. That's a brilliant one. I do like that, mate. I do like that. It was a great finish, though. Instinctive finish, and that's both of them were his goal against Watford and his goal against Swansea. Both instinctive. Right, let's move on to our next 2 games. 2 home games again. What a weird season we've had. 4 million on the road, and then you have 3 home games on the bounce. It's been really, really strange in terms of our schedule. It's Hull, Ian. That's the next game. They're a team having a good season themselves. What do you expect from the game, and what's your score predictions?
Yeah, Hull have they've had a really good season, bearing in mind they're on a transfer embargo. So, hats off to them. I mean, I at the start of the season, I said Millwall would be my surprise package, which they have been, but not far behind them, Hull. So for us, it's going to be a very tough game. Hull know they need to get at least a point at Portman Road, and you got to ask yourself, would they be happy with just a point at Portman Road? And I think they probably would. So I expect them to come in, hit us from the offset, try to get an early goal, and then sit back on that. So as long as we can weather any potential counter-attack storm in the first 5-10 minutes, then we should be okay. I mean, if we get an early goal again, perfect, because then they've got to expose themselves at the back, and and they would therefore be for the taking. We get that early goal, that will set the scene. If we can get a second goal in the first half again, like Saturday, that's brilliant for us, because we seem to be so much more confident and relaxed when we go into half-time 2-0 up. So for me, it's going to be a really good game. Hull are a strong team. They've got options up front. McBurney is a definite threat, and it very much like Hurst's couple of goals. He's always in the right place at the right time. Likes to mix it at the back as well. So that's going to be interesting to see how O'Shea deals with that. I think we'll just put Kipre the machine on him and just terminate him or something. But let's hope Matisiwa can avoid another yellow as well. And I don't know how he's managed it so far. But I'd like to think that we can grind out maybe a 1-0 or 2-0 win against Hull.
Okay, I think you're right. That scoring early in most games at home is very important, isn't it, Rich? Because when we don't do that, we start slowly. It lets the team then get in their shape, get together, and it's so hard to try and break teams down in the low block. So starting quick, starting with intensity, trying to get that early goal is very important. Do you expect an early goal against Hull? And what's your score predictions, mate?
I think if you look at Hull, I think, is it Jakarovic, their manager? I think he's got to be in the shout for manager of the season in the Championship League. With like Ian was saying, transfer embargo could only sign loans and frees. And I think a lot of people probably, when they were predicting their table for the season, probably had them struggling at the other end. So hats off to him. They've been absolutely fantastic. They've won 5 on the road on the trot, which I think is the first time for 60 years. So they're dangerous. McBurney's good at this level. He's a type of striker that took a town, for a free. But look, early goal always settles everybody down. I think they need to probably come and win. If they're going to get in the top 2, I don't think draws are that good at this time in the season, Luke. I think the 3 points are going to be what get you up there. Look, interesting game tomorrow night. We'll all be watching that, Birmingham versus Boro, because that's flipped around, hasn't it? 3 games ago, everyone was saying after Sheffield United, Boro are going to win the league, and it's going to be, who's it going to be in second? So they need a result there. Town need a result on Tuesday, because this is obviously one of our games in hand. So as fans, we've already added 3 points on a lot of them, haven't we? Look, we've got 6 points from these.
I've added 6.
I think Town will win. I think it'll be a tricky game. Probably the odd goal. Probably 2-1 I'll go for, and then on to Leicester on Saturday.
Yeah, you're right though. Hull do need a win, even if they're trying to, just think about the playoffs. There's teams, Southampton and Team Birmingham themselves that are really on the edge of the playoffs. So it's I think 3 points for both teams is definitely what they need to go for. Another team, Ian, that needs points is Leicester. They had a sorry show against those down the road. I think it's tough times at Leicester, but I do expect then with Gary Rowett to come in and maybe play very defensively, a low block, which we do struggle with. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can sort of break through that defensive unit.
Yeah, Gary's tends to have been with clubs that are struggling in the bottom based on the fact they're not a very big club. So for him at Leicester, he's got some fantastic talent on that squad. And I think he's still going to stick with that kind of Oxford mentality. We're going to grind out a result here. He doesn't actually need to do it. And I think I would rather play Leicester in Leicester right now, because in front of their home fans, they get abused for 90 minutes. They're nervous. They make mistakes. On the road, they've got the faithful Leicester travelling support there. I think they're a little bit more adventurous. It's going to be an interesting. I don't think it's going to be a given 3 points by any means. And even though they had a terrible game on Saturday at home to Norwich, I still think that's probably, out of our next 2 or 3 games, is probably going to be the most difficult one for us. And I know what we're like when we play teams who could potentially be opened up. We seem to make a bit of a meal of it. We get that quick goal and then we take our foot off the gas and then we get caught out. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised if we draw that at home to Leicester. I'm going to, again, say that we're going to go for another 2-0. I think we can get another clean sheet. I think that Walton's, doing really well at the back at the moment and dominating that with O'Shea and Kipper in front of him. It just, which Ipswich team turns up, who's going to get the rest on Tuesday night? Who's going to be ready to go on Saturday? And how have Leicester kind of regrouped after Saturday's terrible performance?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how they sort of bounce back. Rich, what are you expecting from the game? Are you expecting similar to Ian for them to make it difficult for us? Do you think we could go and talking about the Watford game, the Swansea game, and then the two games we've got coming up? If we can do you think we can take 12 points from 12 and possibly clean sheets throughout? What do you think, Rich?
I think we take 18, Luke, because we've got Stoke and Sheffield Wednesday after that. So maybe I'm looking too far ahead here, getting a bit ahead of myself. Look, Leicester, I do a podcast on a Thursday night with some Leicester fans, and they're not happy. There was a protest yesterday before the game. They're not happy with the ownership. I mean, what a fall from grace they've had, Luke. I think 10, 11 years ago they were winning the Premier League. They've won the FA Cup. Just been mismanaged, and it's imperative for them to stay in the Championship. If they get relegated, they're in big trouble, financially. And he's the firefighter, isn't he, Gary Rowett? He comes in. He done a great job at Oxford, and I look at Oxford, and I know they won yesterday, and I still scratch my head a little bit, thinking, why did they sack Gary Rowett? Because he kept them in the division. What are Oxford they're doing at the minute? They're struggling to stay in the division. If you want a manager who can keep you in this league, it's Gary Rowett. And I think West Brom have suddenly realised when they sacked Eric Ramsey, they've made a mistake there, and they've got to get someone in quick because, look, it's disastrous. We've dropped out of this league before. We went to League One. It took us 4 years, new ownership, and then we've come back. But I look at the Leicester squad and the team that they had out on the field yesterday, and I think they've got some very good players there, but can't keep a clean sheet, Luke. I think they've had 28 games without keeping a clean sheet. So, look, defensively, not very good. You think Gary Rowett would shore that up? I think Town are going to win. I think we're going to win 2-0.
2-0. Like it. And we'll forgive you for doing another show with some Leicester fans, mate. Don't worry about that. That's fine. That's fine. Some brilliant comments throughout again. Colin agrees with you both. 12 points from 12. I think let's really hope for again another positive week, and we'd like to. We have, as fans, we have something to buy into now. We've seen two really good performances, 3 points, clean sheets in both. It's going to be interesting to see how we get on against Hull and Leicester. Right, we're on to the A to Z, and we're on to the letter S. Ian, I'm going to throw it to you first, please, mate. Who or what is your letter S for Ipswich Town?
Is a player quite a while ago now, towards the end of the 90s, he came to us from Tottenham. And I really liked what he brought to the club at the time. And that was Steve Sedgley. He was a bit of a madman in the middle. But, as a defensive midfielder, he scored, I think, just short 10 goals over 100 appearances or so. So, he had a hell of a blooming shot on him when he needed to. But I just felt that when he came into the club, he fired it up a little bit in the middle. He would mix it up with other clubs as well. Whereas, following him, we haven't really had that in spades, really, have we, for that kind of midfield player who's willing to kind of put a very hard tackle on until Alexa Sam Morsey turned up. So, for me, Steve Sedgley, probably not the most talented of players, but for me, I always thought he did a job in the middle of the park for us.
Yeah, like it. Sometimes them sort of players don't get, the credit they deserve. So that's a good shout. Rich, who's your letter S, please, mate?
We're going back to the 23-24, Luke. 2 S's for me. Southampton and Sami Enso. And we all remember it, don't we? We all remember it, and we've all watched it probably hundreds of times on the video, and we'll probably watch it towards the end of the season, because that was one of the best moments, I think, ever watching Ipswich Town. Definitely at Portman Road. I mean, the last time we've actually come from behind in a game, Luke, that was, and won. Look, he didn't do a lot. He scored at Leicester away. I think he scored another goal against, I think it was Birmingham home. But that moment, it was as if time stood still. Literally, in that split second when he's had that shot and he's fallen and he just gets up and he just toe pokes it, doesn't he? I mean, there was people behind me crying. I've never seen scenes like that. And he's a bit of a lone ranger now, and he's got promotion at Burnley. He's now at Boro. Hopefully he gets promotion with Boro, but after Town have gone up as well. So Boro can go in the playoffs if they want. But, I mean, he's got a great smile. It was just, yeah, that moment, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it now. Yeah, Jeremy Sarmiento, and we talk about magic, and he's magic, isn't he?
He is magic. He is. You talk about goosebumps. As you were saying it, I was reliving it in my head.
Get the 97 tattooed on your arm.
Oh, he's brilliant. What a moment that was, and he'll go down in history for that moment. Oh, brilliant. Right, we're now on to our final feature, which is Tweet of the Week, and it's a little bit different. It's a picture, and it's just the table for our the under-21s, and Ipswich top the table. Let me just read you the other teams in this Premier League 2. You got Chelsea, you've got Liverpool, you got Man City, you got Spurs. Not sure that's saying much at the minute, but Ipswich top the table. And how important is it, Ian, to have the youth set up, getting back in the day? Ipswich had a really good youth academy. There's so many players coming through over the last decade or so. It's not been as productive, but it's definitely so much investments going into it. How good is it to see the young boys getting some good results and good experience?
I think it's credible. A credible talent there when you look who they're playing against. The likes, it's not the time. They're not a regional level. It's Liverpool, Manchester United, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea. So it's a fantastic effort. And I think you look at the Ipswich youth team from 1975. They stuck together, and they became our FA Cup winning team of '78, more or less. So people have said, why haven't we got players from the youth team being pushed up into the first team now? I think that's because McGreal and the club want to keep them together and bring them up together. And so we're looking in 3 years' time for the fruits of that kind of work will start to be embedded into the club. And you think of the players we've got now, who will be here in 3 years' time? It's a very different model of football these days with, massive squads on match day squads as well. You don't tend to have the standard, youth player automatically becomes a first team player. But I think what we've got there is a mixture of players you could quite happily blend into the first team in 3 years' time, and a number of players there that we could then sell on to, keep the club, ticking over. And that's what the model's based on. You create these players to then sell them to make some money, and occasionally you'll take one or two for your own. We all know what the Premier League's about, though. It's about buying in talent, unfortunately. And even the other top three clubs in the under-23s are exactly the same. They'll be buying players in for their first team. But it's great, and it puts us on a map there to say we are now in a level Category 1 academy, and we're actually seeing results. So well done, Macca. John McGreal, for really bringing that on, which is great for him as well.
Definitely being top of the table, Rich. It's good to see for the club. I think you mentioned it there, Ian. The pathway is difficult, isn't it, Rich? As you go up the divisions, you obviously, as Ian said, going for trying to buy players that are ready for that division. So sometimes it's very hard to try and bring these players into the first team step up as you're going up the divisions, especially in the Premier League. There's a few players that we can talk about: Boniface, Tudor Mendel. There's a few knocking around that are definitely close and knocking on the door. What do you think, Rich? Do you think it's we would like to see a few more bled into the team? What's your thoughts? Obviously, we've seen the likes of Cam Humphreys be amongst it a little bit more. I don't think he's going to be around. I think we'll probably see him depart. But what do you think? It's difficult, isn't it, to get players into the first team?
Well, I think if you look at the under-18s, Luke, they've signed, I think that there was 2 or 3 there they signed who played in the Youth Cup. There was a lad from Stevenage who come in. So they're obviously looking at that type of player, who've obviously played a bit of league football. I mean, Mendel's probably the one, isn't he? I think if you see his goal the other night, it's a great finish. But I just think the step-up's massive. I honestly do. You're probably the next place for them sort of lads is to get a good loan move. Yeah. You've only got to look at Finlay Barbrook. He went to Lincoln on loan, Luke, and hardly played. I think he's now at Colchester. I don't think he's starting for them. So it's very important when these lads, the next step in their progression is to get league football, but you've got to go to a club where you're going to play and you're going to progress. So look, we all love players coming through the academy into the first team. I think that's sort of what we have been missing in recent times. But if we're going to be an established Premier League club, I think it's going to be even harder for these lads to make that step through, because they've got to be elite, haven't they? They've got to be elite level, because like you said, Cameron Humphreys is a really good footballer, Luke. And Kieran spoke about him glowingly, and he hung around and he played a little bit in League One. Started the odd game, I think, in the Championship, not a lot. Elkan Bagot's another one. You know, they've never really made that step into the first team. And at the minute, we've got the money to go and buy a Mmeti, you know, for 3 million, ready-made into your team. We haven't really got time for these players to come through at the minute. Look, we don't know what happens down the line, but look, it's great that they're progressing, they're doing really well, they're playing at a good level. But I still think the step up is really big. And like when we played in the FA Cup, I think Boniface was on the bench and he didn't even get on the pitch then, and that was a game that we didn't really want to win and we weren't that interested, and they didn't even get a game then. So I still think the step ups, it's massive. But look, it's encouraging that they're winning, and it's interesting to follow sort of what happens. I just think some of these lads, like a Humphreys or a Bagot, go and play league football now. You know, you all want to you've come through the academy at town and you want to play, but if you go and have a decent career, you look at Ben Knight, Luke. You know, Ben Knight was spoken about when he was at our academy, and he went to Man City and we couldn't really keep hold of him. You know, he went there. I think then he was playing in the 3rd division in Spain. He's come to Cambridge and he's absolutely ripping it up there. And sometimes a player like that, you maybe have to take a step back down to come back up. But yeah, look, I still think the gap's massive, but like I say, just see what happens. But yeah, McGreal's doing a great job. Yeah,
he really is. And this is where the loan system comes in, and I think that's massive for any player making the transition from under 21s football to real men's football, where it's different. It's different when you're in it amongst it. Every point matters, especially you're looking at the National League, League 2 level. Every point is worth X amount. It's so important to these clubs. So yeah, I think the loan system comes in, and that's what we'll see. Many of the current crop of under 21s probably go out on loan, see how they find their feet. I've watched quite a fair amount of under 21s football. I think Boniface, I can see, especially because of our left back situation, I can probably see him being the next one we'll see as part of the first team setup, because Davies plays so many minutes. I think a player like Boniface can be involved in the squad. He's obviously wouldn't count as part of a squad number at this current age, even next season. So yeah, we shall see. But brilliant for the boys, and brilliant conversation, guys. Let's hope for another positive week. Hull, Leicester, if we can take 6 points from them, 12 points out of the last 4. Happy days. Thank you.
We could go top of the table at Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, that'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? That'd be brilliant. Right, thank you everybody for watching at home. Please like and subscribe and get involved in the comments below, talking all things Ipswich Town.